Welcome to Zonk. My boyfriend, now ex, and I were together for 5 years. Like most couples, we've had our fair share of fights. Well, this year's been the worst, most stressful year of them all regarding our relationship. I just started graduate school, and it's no joke. Between the long hours I spend in a lab, teaching, etc., and his job, we just never have time to hash things out. Not to mention, intimacy and sex have been pretty bland for a few months as well. I just didn't take any pleasure in it. Last month, a friend, she's a girl, I've known her since middle school, decided to blow off some steam in Toronto. We live in Michigan, so it seemed like the perfect place to travel far, but not too far if that makes sense. Everything went as planned. I loved Toronto. Tons of sightseeing, great people, etc. Had a blast. The last thing on my mind was hooking up with anyone. On the third day before our last night in Toronto, while we're hanging out in some bar, literally just sitting there drinking, a guy comes up and says, "So, you rep Michigan?" It made sense. I had on a t-shirt with the words, "Michigan, insert field of study here." I wasn't trying to dress up or anything, and UMich folks love talking about UMich, so I engaged him in conversation. Why not? I should mention that he was out with friends as well. Turns out he attended Michigan for undergrad, but as an international student. We could bond over undergrad experiences, laugh at the ins and outs of A2, etc. I saw no harm in it. In true stereotypical fashion, we, my friend, this guy and his group, hang out. And eventually, the night ends with me sleeping with him. I have no excuse for what I did. I immediately felt like shit afterward, and upon returning to Michigan, I told my boyfriend what happened. It was not pretty. I was and still am everything but a child of God. He won't accept my calls, deleted me from all of his social media, told me that I was dead to him. He said some really hurtful shit. The worst part about it is that I can't, nor do I even want to, defend myself. I have no valid reason for my actions other than the fact that I liked the attention that I was receiving from this guy in Toronto. As I mentioned, my ex and I have been having problems for a while, especially regarding intimacy. I'm regretting the fact that I couldn't just be an adult and force myself and my ex to sit down and hash things out. Because maybe then, I would have seen how idiotic it was to even entertain a random guy at a bar. I really think I'm in shock that we're no longer together. I've cried my eyes out, but more than anything, I feel extreme dread. I'm so sad. My chest literally hurts, like my heart wants to split in two. Sounds cliche, but true. My ex was my first for everything, and I ruined it. The realization that you've hurt someone enough for them to hate you and say the things he did to me is just… I don't have words for it. I want to apologize, make things right, and be with him again, but I think it's truly done. If anyone has cheated or done something to an SO and really regretted it, please let me know how you dealt with your feelings and emotions, or even possibly trying to regain that individual's trust. He made a wise decision because it would be extremely difficult for him to trust you again. By choosing to cheat, you also made the decision to destroy the emotional connection you both had built, leaving a lasting impact on him. The pain and heartache he experienced will affect all his future relationships. It's important for you to understand that the initial act of crossing the line wasn't when you engaged in sexual intercourse. The first act of betrayal occurred when you allowed the other person to single you out and get physically close to you. From there, you made successive choices to escalate the situation, progressing from kissing to ultimately engaging in sex. Comments. You can literally never make it right. He will carry this with him forever. There will always be a seed of doubt in every single other relationship he has. He will question, always, if he's able to trust someone again. You can't undo that. The best thing you can do for him is never speak to him again. The best thing you can do for yourself is be compassionate. Your job now is to heal and forgive yourself. It will ease the pain you feel. Go to a therapist or read a few books. Try and catch negative thought cycles and correct them before you spiral. That's all you can do. Never been in your situation, and it sure is hard to feel your pain. I can only say don't expect him back. He may forgive you eventually, but you'd be lucky if he'd ever take you back. Leave him alone. All you can do is focus on your life and really learn a lesson here. Learn to forgive yourself over time, but let it be genuine so you don't ever do something like that again in a future relationship. Story 2. I see that most posts about cheaters are from the perspective of the one whom was cheated on. But in this case, I am the cheater. I want to ask your advice and stop this pattern of cheating because I believe it doesn't reflect who I am. I want to stop hurting people and stop perpetuating this pattern where I end up hating myself more day by day. I have no clue why I'm cheating and lying constantly. From the outside, I don't seem like a bad person and I don't identify myself with one. Unfortunately, my deeds speak for themselves. The relationship with my current boyfriend, Andrew, started 1 year ago when I started to have an affair with him while being with my ex-boyfriend, John, 33. John and I have been together for 4 years and we had our ups and downs. We started our relationship in a work environment where he was my boss. I initiated the relationship and he didn't say no. Unfortunately, that created a lot of conflict in our relationship for about 2 years, as long as we've been working together. He was caught between being an understanding boyfriend and being a leading figure that should give me orders and have no emotional attachment. My relationship with his mother was also not very good. Partly because she's a crazy jealous person, partly because I was making him choose between the two of us. His mother was his only family and raised him alone. Since his holiday time was limited due to his demanding job, he had to split his free time between me and his mom or bring us all together, which naturally led to a lot of drama involving yelling, calling names, and throwing stuff. Me and his mom, me at him. Although we had some other small conflicts, due to our immaturity, I believe, and lack of proper communication, I was blissfully happy with him and never wanted to break up with him. I genuinely wanted to marry him and have a happy family together. What happened is a totally different thing. Every time he was away from home on business trips and he could not give me enough attention, communication, I cheated on him. I went out with 3 men for several weeks. We only kissed and let them touch me. I did not have sex with any of them because in my distorted view of the world, I felt that only sex means cheating. So I never felt guilty. On the contrary, I felt that John was guilty for all the problems in our relationship. Fast forward to last year. I started spending a lot of time with my then friend, Andrew. John was really busy, and he was glad I had a friend with whom I got along so well. He really liked Andrew. Only that, little did we know both that he had romantic feelings for me and his own agenda. Me, being the cheating hoe that I am, I obviously loved all the attention and teased Andrew sexually more than I should. Like, for example, inviting him for sleepovers, let him peek at my cleavage, touching his hand by mistake for a little too long. The usual arsenal of attracting someone. Of course, I turned all my affection from my boyfriend and started having uglier arguments all the time, comparing him with Andrew and telling him that I hate him. At this time, John was going through a rough period. He lost his job and his grandparents. Being the shit person that I am, I started a very physical relationship with Andrew, all the while not feeling guilty about it, but more anxious of being discovered. Next, Andrew pressured me to throw John out of our apartment to be with him fully, which I did, but not before keeping John in a limbo for 1 year and going back and forth with him. During the entire year, I was officially in a new relationship with Andrew, but on several occasions, I did sleep with John. Andrew knows that it only happened once. I was NC with John since last December until this weekend when he emailed me to meet up. Since Andrew was not in town, I met him, talked, and cried, confessed all about my cheating. We ended up having sex. The next day, he told me he still wants to be with me and asked me to come clean to Andrew because he deserves to know. The problem is that I'm living with Andrew and I cannot move to another place for the next 2 months, financial issues. I want to come clean. I have no friends here and my family's living in another country. It's the last month of my job and I have to deliver a huge project, my graduation project. What the frick do I do now? How do I tell the truth hurting people as little as possible? Do I move out? How can I stay faithful? I want to stop being this horrible person who does horrible things to others. It's important to clarify that seeking attention is not inherently wrong, but it becomes problematic when you enter into committed relationships while being unable to remain faithful. In such cases, it would be considered the right thing to do to end those relationships and remain single. By staying single, you can pursue attention from multiple men without causing harm to anyone involved. Currently, you are damaging their self-esteem to boost your own, which ultimately reflects negatively on your character. Comments. You are the sum of your actions and nothing else. You want to be a better person? Start today. What do good people do? They help others, even if it means hurting themselves. How do you help others in this situation? Remove yourself. At this point in your life, you're toxic to both John and Andrew. Do them a favor and cut contact with both of them. Then do the world a favor and do not get into another relationship until you've matured. As for the living situation, do you have a friend's couch you could stay on for a month? Offer to pay rent. If not, look on Airbnb. Book a night stay and talk to the owner about extending it for a month. Some of them offer deals if you stay for an extended period. You are very immature, self-destructive, and damaging to others. 1. Just tell the truth. The truth is going to hurt because you did hurtful things. Trying not to hurt people is just your way of trying to get out of it. 2. Yes, move the F out. 3. Therapy. Go be single for at least a year and figure yourself the F out before you keep harming those who you claim to care about. You're dangerous to yourself, which is bad enough. But endangering other people because you like being selfish is inexcusable.